On the Christmas Eve that my son kicked me out into the street because I refused to hand over my business, he received an unexpected gift the very next day. A process server knocking on his door. At that moment he went pale as a ghost, and I finally found my peace. It was December 24th when my own flesh and blood threw me out like trash. It was 11 at night. The house was fully decorated, Christmas lights blinking in the windows, the smell of roast turkey and gravy still floating in the air. And there I was, at 67 years old, being pushed outside by the man I had raised alone after his mother left us. My name is Robert, and this is the story of how my son Michael tried to steal everything I had built, and how I made him pay dearly for it. But before I tell you what happened that cursed night, promise me one thing. Stay with me until the end, because what follows will break your heart, but it will also show you that it is never, ever too late to defend yourself. If you have ever felt disrespected by those who should love you, this story is for you. And if you are enjoying it so far, subscribe to the channel William's Revenge Stories so you do not miss the next stories, because many people need to know that they are not alone in this fight. Leave a comment telling me where you are watching from. Let us go back to that evening. I had arrived at Michael's house around 7 in the evening. I brought gifts for my grandkids. Charlie is 9 and Lucy is 6, a red bicycle for the boy that he had been asking for months, and a 3-story dollhouse for the girl, with lights and everything. I spent over $2,000 in total, but it was Christmas Eve. It was family. When I walked in, Vanessa, my daughter-in-law, barely looked at me. She just gave a dry nod and went back to the kitchen. Michael was in the living room, cell phone in hand, frowning. He did not even get up to greet me properly. The kids, at least, welcomed me with hugs. Charlie hung off my neck. Lucy showed me her new dress that her mom had bought her. I smiled, but my heart was already heavy. I knew this atmosphere. It was the calm before the storm. The dinner was cold, not the food, which was hot and well prepared, but the atmosphere at the table weighed like lead. Vanessa chewed slowly, eyes fixed on her plate. Michael barely touched his food. He looked at me strangely, as if I were an intruder. After the kids opened their gifts and went to play in their room, he called me. "Dad, come to my office. I need to speak with you." My stomach froze, but I went. The office was at the back of the house, a small room with a dark wooden desk and shelves full of files. It smelled of old paper and printer ink. Vanessa entered right behind me and closed the door. Michael pulled out a chair and sat across from the desk. He did not offer me a seat. I stood there, clutching my bag against my chest. He opened a drawer and took out some papers that he listed. On the desk, right in front of me. "You need to sign this today." I leaned in to read. They were transfer documents for the ownership of my bakery, Golden Crust Bakery. 32 years of work, all passing to his name. My blood boiled. "Michael, what is this?" "It is the transfer of the business, Dad. I already spoke with the accountant. Everything is in order. You just need to sign." "But why? Why would I do that?" He sighed as if I were stupid. "Because you have worked enough. It is time to rest, and I am your son. Who else would take over the business?" I laughed. It was not funny at all, but I laughed nervously out of indignation. "Michael, have you lost your mind? I am not going to sign this." Vanessa stepped forward. "Robert, do not be stubborn. Michael is doing you a favor. You are already old. What happens if something happens to you? The bakery will be abandoned. Better to transfer it to him now." Old. She called me old, as if I were a piece of old furniture forgotten in a corner. I looked at these two, my son and his wife, and I saw something in their eyes that made me tremble. Greed. They were not worried about me. They wanted to get their hands on the money. "No," I said firmly. "I am not going to sign. Golden Crust is mine. I built it alone, stone by stone. No one is going to take that from me." Michael's face hardened. "Dad, do not make me do this the hard way." "What hard way?" I asked, feeling the fear climb up my spine. He stood up, tall, broad-shouldered, looking at me as if I were an enemy. If you do not sign, you are going to have to leave. I blinked. I thought I had heard wrong. What? You heard me. This house is mine, and if you do not want to cooperate, then you no longer have a place here. My heart raced. I looked at Vanessa. She had her arms crossed, a little smirk at the corner of her mouth. Michael, are you serious? Very serious. Sign the papers or leave. You choose. I stood paralyzed. I could not believe what I was hearing. This was my son, my only son, the boy I had raised, clothed, fed, sent to school, paid for his education, bought his first car, helped with his wedding, and he was kicking me out on Christmas Eve. No, I said, my voice trembling. I am not going to sign. Michael threw the papers on the desk. Then get the hell out of here. He came toward me, grabbed me by the arm, and dragged me into the hallway. Vanessa followed us, screaming, Leave, you selfish old man. You only think about yourself. You never thought about your son. I tried to break free, but he was too strong. He pulled me to the front door. The kids appeared in the hallway, scared. Grandpa! Charlie shouted. Shut up! Vanessa yelled at him. Lucy started to cry. Michael opened the door. The cold night wind hit my face. He pushed me outside. I almost fell onto the sidewalk. And do not come back until you have changed your mind, he said before slamming the door. I stayed there, alone, in the middle of the street, with an old suitcase in my hand and my bag of documents hanging from my shoulder. The Christmas lights flickered in the neighboring houses, the distant sound of laughter and music, and me expelled, humiliated, destroyed. But I did not cry. Not at that moment, because deep in my chest, along with the pain, something new was being born. Rage, determination, and the absolute certainty that my son was going to bitterly regret what he had just done. Because he did not know it, but I had prepared for this, and what would come next was going to make him lose everything. But before I tell you what I did that night, you need to understand one thing. I am not a man who gives up easily. Golden crusts did not fall from the sky. This bakery was not a gift, nor an inheritance. It was sweat, blood, and tears. And if there is one thing I learned in 67 years of life, it is that no one has the right to take from us what we have built with our own hands. Let me take you 32 years back, to the day it all began. I was 35 years old, and I had just buried my wife, Mary. My dear Mary died suddenly, leaving me alone with Michael, who was barely 7 years old, with nothing. Worse than nothing, with debts. About $20,000 in today's money. Sounds like little today, right? But back then it was a fortune. A loan she had taken out to try to start a business that never took off. Hospital bills, funeral bills, everything fell on my shoulders. I remember that night when I sat at the kitchen table, alone with the bills spread out in front of me. The house empty, Michael asleep in his room, and me not knowing how I was going to pay the rent the next month. I cried. I cried until I had no more tears left. But when the sun came up, I had already made a decision. I was not going to sink. I was not going to let my son go hungry. I was not going to let life crush me. I went to my sister Linda. She lived in a small apartment in a rough part of the city, but she had a huge heart. I explained the situation to her. I asked to borrow $3,000. She looked me in the eyes and said, Robert, you are going to make it. I have faith in you. With that money, I bought my first merchandise. Flour, yeast, molds. Simple things, but things people needed. Every Sunday I went to the flea market. I set up a small stall with a blue tarp, one of those that shake in the wind. I stayed there from 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. Burning sun on my head, feet swollen, hands cracked from handling flour and dough, but I sold. At first it was slow, $20, $30 a day, but I started gaining customers. People liked my bread because I chatted. I gave advice on what to pair it with. I helped them pick the best rolls and pastries. I became known. And Michael, he came with me, so small, sitting on a wooden crate next to the stall, drawing in an old notebook. Sometimes he helped me wrap the bread, or held the umbrella when the sun was strong. That boy was my reason to get up every day. We returned home in the afternoon, tired. I cooked something quick: rice, pasta, eggs. We ate watching TV. Then I gave him his bath, tucked him in, and stayed up until dawn doing accounts, planning what to buy the following week. There was no money left for anything else. New clothes, only if they came from the flea market. Outings, impossible. I wore the same worn-out shoes for 2 years because I could not buy others. But I did not complain, because I had a goal. And every dollar that came in went straight to the business or to Michael. He always had the best I could offer him. Private school, even if I had to make monthly payments. New uniform every year, full school supplies. He never had to feel shame in front of his classmates. And when he turned 15, I had saved enough to rent a commercial space. My first bakery, a small space downtown, about 400 square feet, but it was mine. Golden crust. I called it that because it was bread, and it was gold, like the future I wanted for us. I painted the walls yellow and orange, cheerful colors. I installed wooden shelves that I sanded and varnished myself. I filled it with products: rolls, holiday bread, pastries, cookies, everything. The day of the grand opening, Linda came with me. She brought a cake. We celebrated just the three of us and Michael. But it was the happiest day of my life until then. I worked from 4 in the morning to 8 at night, 7 days a week. No rest, no vacations. Christmas was the busy season. I could not rest. When Michael returned from school, he came straight to the bakery. He did his homework on the counter while I attended to customers. Sometimes he complained, "Dad, why don't we go to the movies? Why don't we travel?" And I always answered the same thing. "Son, we are building our future. One day you will understand." He grew up there, between the sacks of flour and the rolling pins. He learned to answer the phone, to wrap the breads, to keep the books. And I built an empire. Slowly, but I built it. The bakery grew. In 2005, I managed to rent the space next door and double the size. In 2010, I bought the building, $250,000 in cash. Money I had saved dollar by dollar for years. In 2015, I renovated everything: air conditioning, new shelves, modern ovens, automated management system. Golden crust became a reference in the area. Customers came from far away. We did deliveries. We signed contracts with companies. When I evaluated the assets in 2024, the bakery was worth nearly $1 million. And do you know what I did with all that money over the years? I invested it in Michael. I paid for private school until he finished high school, administration studies at a good university, $2,000 a month for 5 years. I bought him a car when he turned 18, a used sedan, but in good condition. I paid for his driver's license. I gave him money for his expenses. When he wanted to marry Vanessa, I paid for the whole wedding. Banquet, decoration, dress, everything. About $3,000 just for that. I did not ask for a cent in return. I gave the down payment for the apartment where they lived before buying the house. I helped with furniture, with bedding, with everything. Never, never did I deny my son anything. And what did I get in return? A shove outside on Christmas Eve. As I walked alone through the cold streets that night, carrying my old suitcase, I thought about all this, about every sacrifice, every choice I had made thinking of him. And do you know what hurt me the most? It was not that he had kicked me out. It was that he thought I was stupid, that I was not going to react, that I would simply accept and hand him everything on a silver platter. Because there is one thing my son forgot. Someone who builds an empire from nothing is not weak, is not stupid, is not naive. And I had learned during those 32 years, dealing with dishonest suppliers, delinquent customers, and unfair competitors, how to protect myself. So while I looked for a cheap hotel to spend that cursed night, I already knew exactly what to do. And the next morning, my son would discover that he had messed with the wrong man. But for you to truly understand how I arrived at this hell, I need to talk to you about her. Vanessa, the woman who entered my family like a little lamb and revealed herself to be a poisonous viper. It was in 2014 that Michael met her. He was 28 years old. He worked as a manager at a construction supply store. He earned reasonably well. He still lived with me, but he was already talking about leaving, having his own life. I even encouraged him. It seemed natural to me. Children grow up, they want to fly with their own wings. That is how it is. Until one Sunday, he arrived home with her. Vanessa was 23 years old. Pretty, I cannot deny it. Long brown hair, light eyes, wide smile. Thin, tall, well-dressed. She wore a floral dress that showed off her figure. Heeled sandals, manicured nails. She was very kind. She hugged me. She complimented the house, said that Michael talked a lot about me. "Robert, what a pleasure to meet you. Michael only says good things about you, you know. He says you're a warrior, an inspiration." I smiled. I even felt flattered. I thought, what a well-educated girl. I prepared food for them. Chicken stew because Michael loved it. Vanessa ate little. She said she was on a diet, but she thanked me very much. She stayed to help me wash the dishes, chatting, asking me questions about the bakery. I told her a little of the story of how I had started at the flea market, of the sacrifice, of the struggle. She listened with her eyes wide open. "What an incredible story! You are an achiever. I admire that a lot." At that moment, I believed her. After that day, she started frequenting the house. She always came with Michael. She brought little gifts. Nothing expensive, but she brought them. A cake, some fruit, chocolates. Always kind, attentive. About 3 months later, Michael called me to talk. "Dad, I'm in love with Vanessa. I want to marry her." My heart tightened. Not because I did not like her. Up until now, she had only been kind. But I knew my son. He was impulsive. He fell in love fast. And marriage is not a game. "Son, you have known each other for such a short time." "I know, Dad, but I am sure she is the woman of my life." He was determined. And I was not going to be the annoying father who hinders his son's happiness. So I gave my blessing. The engagement lasted a year. During that time, I met her family. Vanessa's mom, Monica, was a seamstress. Her dad, Peter, worked as a building night watchman. Simple, modest, hard-working people. They lived in a small house in a rough neighborhood. 3 tight rooms, tin roof. There was nothing wrong with that. I also came from modest origins. I respected those who worked honestly. But I noticed something. Vanessa was ashamed of her origins. When we went to visit her parents, she was tense. She rushed the visit. She found any pretext to leave quickly. And then in the car she complained, "Oh, Michael, my mom is so countryside. She offers that reheated coffee, those stale cookies." It bothered me, but I said nothing. I thought she was just a young girl, wanting to appear more sophisticated than she was. The wedding was set for May 2015, and that was when the first problem appeared. They had no money. Michael had about $15,000 saved. Vanessa's family could not contribute anything, and she wanted a big wedding. Elegant venue, full buffet, magazine decoration. "Michael, I have always dreamed of a beautiful wedding. I am only going to get married once in my life." I saw my son distressed. He wanted to fulfill her dream, but he did not have the means. That was when I intervened. "Son, let me help you. I will pay for the wedding." "Dad, it is not necessary." "Yes, it is. You are my only son. I want to see you happy." And I paid. It cost a fortune. A place for 200 people. Full buffet with 3 types of meat. Cocktail bar, DJ, decoration, all in white and gold that Vanessa chose. Her dress alone cost $6,000. On the wedding day, she was radiant. She looked like a princess. And Michael looked at her as if he had found a treasure. I was happy for him, truly. But deep down, very deep down, there was a moment in that celebration that left me with a chill in my stomach. It was when I was sitting at a table resting my feet that hurt from standing. Vanessa passed near me, talking to a friend. They did not see me, and I heard the friend tell her, "Vanessa, you did it. You found a man with money, with a rich dad. Now you just have to enjoy." And Vanessa laughed. That thin, sharp laugh. Yes, after so many shortages, I'm finally going to have a good life. My stomach turned, but I tried to ignore it. I thought it was a joke, some nonsense between envious friends. How foolish I was. After the wedding, they went to live in a rented apartment. I paid the deposit. I bought the basic furniture. Vanessa wanted everything new, the best. I helped where I could. And that was when she started working at the bakery. She said she wanted to help, that she had studied some administration in a technical course, that she could be useful. I accepted. I hired her as an administrative manager, paying her a salary of $3,500 a month. At first she worked well. She organized papers, received suppliers, controlled inventories. I thought I had made a good choice, but little by little I started noticing changes. She talked to Michael, put ideas in his head. "Love, your dad is very controlling. He does not let you decide anything in the bakery." "Michael, your dad is getting old. He is not up to date with the market. His strategies are outdated. You should have more voice in the company. After all, you are his son. You are going to inherit everything someday." And Michael started to change. He became more distant with me, colder. He started questioning my decisions in the bakery, something he had never done. "Dad, why don't you invest in digital marketing? Dad, you should modernize the sales system. Dad, you are losing customers because you don't accept credit cards." I even agreed with some things. I made changes. I hired a marketing company. I installed a terminal for cards. We modernized the website. But it was not enough for him, or rather for her, because everything Michael said, I knew, first came out of Vanessa's mouth. One day, about 2 years after the wedding, I arrived at the bakery by surprise. It was a Saturday morning, very early. I had forgotten a document at home and had returned to get it. When I pushed the door, I saw Vanessa on the phone. She had her back to me. She did not see me enter. And I heard her say, "No, send the quote directly to my email. Robert does not need to know that right now. We will settle it with him later." My blood boiled. What kind of story was this? I approached. "Vanessa, who are you talking to?" She jumped. She hung up fast. Her face turned red. "Oh, Robert, you scared me." It was just a supplier. Nothing important." "What supplier? And why don't you want me to know?" "It is not that, Robert. You misunderstood. I was just organizing things to make your work easier." I did not believe her, but I had no way to prove anything. I let it pass. But it was the first clear sign that she was planning something. And in the months that followed, things only got worse. Suppliers started delaying deliveries. Old customers disappeared. Small problems that had never happened began to appear. And always, always, Vanessa was involved. That was when I really started to mistrust. And that was when I started, in silence, to protect myself. There is one thing I learned during all those years working with the public. You can sense when someone is plotting something behind your back. It is a sixth sense, a chill, a detail that does not fit. And with Vanessa, these details started to pile up like dust under the rug. It was 2017. She had been working at Golden Crust for 2 years, and the bakery, which had always been my pride, started showing strange signs. First, it was the suppliers. Valley Mills, which had served me for 15 years, suddenly started delaying deliveries. The merchandise that always arrived on Monday did not arrive until Friday. When I called to complain, Mr. Reynolds, the owner, was embarrassed. "Robert, truly excuse me, we had a problem with the system." It seemed strange to me, but I let it pass until it happened again. And again, the third time I went to see them in person. "Mr. Reynolds, what is happening? Our relationship has always been good. Why these failures now?" He scratched his head, embarrassed. "Look, Robert, it is just that we received calls from your bakery saying that you were having health problems, that sometimes you forgot orders, so we doubted. Understand?" My blood froze. "What do you mean, health problems? Who called them to say that?" "It was a lady. She said she was the manager, that you were becoming forgetful, that you had gone to the doctor." I left there trembling with rage. I went straight to the bakery. I found her in the office, calm, sitting in front of the computer. "Vanessa, we need to talk. Now." She looked up, that innocent little smile on her face. "Hi, Robert. What a surprise. I thought you were at home. Why did you call Valley Mills saying I have health problems?" Her smile faltered for just a second, but I saw it. "Me, Robert? I never said that." "Yes, you said it. Mr. Reynolds told me word for word." She looked surprised, fake to the core. "Robert, I think there was a misunderstanding. I called, yes, but it was only to confirm a delivery that had been delayed. Maybe Mr. Reynolds misunderstood." "Misunderstood that you said I went to the doctor? That I am becoming forgetful?" "I did not say that, Robert, I swear. Maybe he confused it with something else I said. You know how it is. The phone sometimes cuts out. People hear wrong." She was good. Very good. She looked me straight in the eyes without blinking. Firm voice, hand on chest. But I was not born yesterday. "Vanessa, do not contact suppliers without notifying me first. Is that clear?" "Of course, Robert. Excuse me if it caused any problem." She left as if nothing had happened. But I stayed there, standing in the middle of the office with a certainty burning in my chest. That snake was trying to sabotage me. That was barely the beginning. In the following weeks, other problems appeared. Royal Stationery, another long-time supplier, called me to say they had received an email asking to cancel our monthly order. An email sent from the bakery's computer, but which I had not sent. An important client, St. Michael's College, which signed a contract with me every year for the summer festival, said they had desisted because they received a cheaper offer from another bakery. When I investigated, I discovered that someone had leaked our quote with all the details. Prices, conditions, everything. Guess who had access to the quotes? Vanessa. I started paying attention to everything. To her. To every move, every call, every email. And that was when I started to listen to the conversations she had with Michael. My son came to eat with me on Sundays, an old custom we kept, but the atmosphere had changed. He arrived tense, spoke little, looked at his cell phone all the time. One day during the meal, he put down his fork and looked at me. "Dad, we need to talk about the bakery." "What about the bakery?" "You are, how to say it, a little outdated. The market has changed. The way of selling has changed, and you insist on doing everything the old way." I took a deep breath. "Michael, Golden Crust has existed for 30 years. It has good revenue, loyal clientele. What is old-fashioned about that?" "Dad, you don't invest in social media. You don't do promotions. You don't have an online store. The competition's passing you by." "I have social media. I have a website, and sales are still good." "They could be better if you let someone younger take some decisions." "Someone like who?" "Me." He looked away. "Me and Vanessa. We understand the current market better." That was when I understood. The snake had put everything in his head. She had made him believe I was a stubborn old man, stuck in the past, hindering the company's progress. "Michael, when you understand half of what I understand about management, we will talk again. For now, I am still the one who makes the decisions." He turned red. He got up from the table. "You are impossible. You don't accept anyone's opinion." And he left, slamming the door. I stayed alone, looking at my half-full plate. My son had changed, and the culprit had a name and surname. In the following months, the pressure increased. Michael started talking about partnership. He wanted me to make him a partner in the business, 50% each. "Dad, I am your son, your only son. Someday it will be mine anyway. Why not do it now?" "Because I am still alive, Michael. And as long as I have health and all my faculties, I am the one who manages Golden Crust. Don't you trust me?" "It is not a question of trust. It is a question of common sense. I built this alone. I am not going to give it all away on a silver platter." He was furious, but he could not do anything. That was when Vanessa started her smear campaign in the family. She called my cousins, my uncles, Linda. She cried. She said I was mean to her, that I treated Michael like a child, that I was selfish, that I did not want to share anything with anyone. Linda told me. Robert, Vanessa called me yesterday. She was crying. She says you humiliate her at the bakery, that you don't let Michael grow. Are you not being a little hard? I sighed. Linda, you have known me for 67 years. Have I ever been unfair? She stayed silent. Then she murmured, No, never. Sorry, brother. She should have suspected. But other relatives believed her, and they started treating me differently, as if I were the villain of the story. And Michael, he believed every word his wife said. It was in November 2024 that everything really deteriorated. I arrived at the bakery and found Michael rummaging through the office files. Papers scattered, folders open. What are you doing? He jumped. Dad, I was just organizing. Organizing what? Those are confidential documents. I know, Dad, but I am your son. I have a right to know. No, you do not have that right. Not as long as you are not a partner. Leave that. He threw the files on the desk, irritated. You are becoming paranoid. You should go to the doctor. That hurt. It hurts when it comes from your son, from the boy you raised, to whom you gave everything, whom you loved more than your own life, and he is treating you as if you were crazy. That afternoon, when I closed the bakery and went home, I cried. I cried a lot. But amidst the tears, I made a decision. I was not going to wait for them to make a dirty move. I called my lawyer, Mr. Harrison, and my accountant, Mr. Miller. I scheduled an appointment for the following week, and I started preparing my defense plan. Because if 32 years running a bakery taught me anything, it is that you do not survive in the market by being naive. And if my own son was plotting against me, I was going to protect myself with all the weapons at my disposal. You know that feeling when you realize you are surrounded? That the walls are closing in and the air becomes harder and harder to breathe? That was what I felt in October 2024. Mr. Harrison had a small office downtown on the third floor of a somewhat old commercial building. But this man had a legal mind sharp as a razor. I had known him for 15 years since I needed a lawyer to solve a labor issue at the bakery. I arrived there on a Tuesday afternoon. Mr. Miller, my accountant, was also present. Big, bald, thick glasses, but with a sharp eye that missed nothing. I sat in the cracked leather armchair in front of his desk and let it all out. Every detail. Vanessa's calls to suppliers, the documents Michael was rummaging through in secret, the pressure to hand over the business, the insinuations that I was going senile. Mr. Harrison listened in silence, writing everything down in a small yellow notebook. When I finished, he took off his glasses and looked at me seriously. Robert, you are in danger. My stomach tied in a knot. What do you mean? They are mounting a siege. First, they discredit you. They spread that you have mental problems, that you are no longer capable of running the business. Then they will ask for a guardianship. A guardianship? Yes, a legal procedure to take away your civil capacity. They make Michael your guardian, and he takes control of everything. Your business, your accounts, your properties, everything. I felt the floor open under my feet. But there is nothing wrong with my head. I know you are lucid, in good health, but on paper, with witnesses saying the opposite, with bought medical certificates, it is very possible to manipulate the situation. Mr. Miller leaned forward. Robert, we must act fast, before they take the next step. What do you suggest, gentlemen? Harrison took a pen. First, you must protect your assets. Transfer the business to a holding company of which you are the sole partner. Remove Michael from any power of attorney or document he has access to. Second, document everything. Record conversations. Save printouts of emails. Everything. Third, prepare an eviction procedure for the house where he lives. But the house is already mine. Yes, it is in your name since the purchase. Michael lives there, but he is not the owner. If you wish, you can recover the property. I breathed deep. Do what is necessary. I trust you. In the following weeks, we worked in total silence. No one should know. Not Linda, who had a loose tongue. Not the bakery employees. Mr. Miller created a family holding company, Golden Crust Holdings, and transferred all the company's assets, the commercial premises, the inventories, the accounts, everything to this new legal entity. I was the only partner. Neither Michael nor Vanessa had the slightest participation. Mr. Harrison prepared the revocation of power of attorney documents. Michael had an old power of attorney that I had given him years before, thinking it would be useful. We revoked everything, and I started documenting with a small recorder, one of those discreet ones that fit in the palm of your hand. Every time Michael or Vanessa came to talk to me, I recorded. I started taking screenshots of suspicious emails. I saved everything in a hidden folder on the computer. I made backups on a USB drive that I hid in an old cookie tin in the pantry of my house, and that was how I obtained the proof I needed. It was a Saturday afternoon, late October. I had closed the bakery earlier. I told the employees I was going to attend to some bank matters, but I returned in secret. I entered through the back door, very quiet. I heard voices in the office. Michael and Vanessa. I hid in the hallway, recorder on. Love, he is not going to give you the business willingly. Vanessa's voice was cold, calculating. We have to force things. But how? Michael sounded unsure. Guardianship. My cousin is a lawyer. He says it is possible. We find 2, 3 witnesses who say your dad is going senile. We get a psychiatric certificate. Done and dusted. You become his guardian. But he is not senile, Vanessa. He is fine. Michael, wake up. Your dad is going to die someday. And are you going to wait to inherit when we could have everything now? Silence. Then her voice lower. I don't know, love. It feels wrong. What feels wrong? That he is selfish like this? You worked in that bakery all your life. You deserve your share. I haven't worked in the bakery all my life. He is the one who worked. It doesn't matter. You are an only child. It is yours by right. And he denies it to you. He humiliates you. Don't you see it? Another silence. Longer. Okay, let's do it. My heart broke at that precise moment. My son, my only son, accepting to betray me, to take everything from me. I left there trembling. I went straight to Mr. Harrison's office. I played him the recording. He listened to it all. Then he looked at me, his face grave. Robert, now we have ammunition. This is evidence of bad faith, of attempted misappropriation. Can you sue them? Not yet, I said, my voice firm despite the pain in my chest. I want to see how far they go. I want to be absolutely sure there is no turning back. Because deep down, very deep down, I still had hope. Hope that my son would wake up, that he would realize what he was doing. But in November, that hope died forever. Michael invited me to dinner, just the two of us. He said he needed to talk to me, that it was important. I accepted. Maybe he wanted to apologize. Maybe he had realized his mistake. We went to a simple restaurant near the bakery. We ordered. He played nervously with his food. Dad, I'm worried about you. Worried? Why? You are distracted, confused. Last week you called the same supplier 3 times asking the same thing. Lies. Blatant lies. Michael, that never happened. Yes, Dad, the employees commented. They are worried. More lies. What employees? Vanessa? The warehouse people? Of course, Vanessa. Dad, I think you should get checked. See a doctor. Maybe it is just stress, tiredness, but it is good to check. I looked him in the eyes, those eyes I had known since he was a baby, and I saw coldness, calculation. Michael, I am not sick, and if I were, you would be the first person I would tell. But I am not going to see any doctor because I do not need to. He sighed theatrically. See, Dad, you don't accept help. That is a sign that there is a problem. I got up from the table. This conversation is over. Dad, wait. No, you know what you are doing, Michael, and so do I. And I guarantee you one thing, you are not going to get away with it. I left the restaurant. I paid my share of the bill at the counter and left. That night I called Mr. Harrison. Prepare everything. I want the documents ready. I want the notifications prepared. I am just waiting for them to take the next step, and the next step arrived on Christmas. Because greed does not choose a date. It does not respect the occasion. It has no heart. And that Christmas Eve, when my son kicked me out, he did not know he had just dug his own grave. Because I had prepared everything. Every document, every procedure, every piece of evidence. And the next morning, when he thought he had won, I was going to show him what a 67-year-old man who built an empire from nothing is capable of when he is betrayed by his own blood. There are dates that mark our lives forever. Birthdays, weddings, the birth of a child. But there are also those we would like to erase from memory and cannot. For me, December 24th, 2024 is a scar that will never close. I woke up early that day. 6 in the morning. The sky still a bit dark. That morning freshness that precedes the heat of the day. I had my coffee alone, as always. Toast with butter, black coffee, a fruit. I looked at the wrapped gifts in the living room. The red bicycle for Charlie, the right size for his age with gears and everything. The dollhouse for Lucy, 3 floors with lights that really turned on. Full furniture. Over $2,000 in total, but they were worth every penny just to imagine my grandkids' faces. I got ready with care. I put on my navy blue silk shirt, the one Michael had given me for my birthday 2 years before. I put on my gold chain, the only valuable jewelry I had, inherited from my mother. I put on a little cologne. I took one last look in the mirror. A man of 67 years, gray hair, wrinkles of someone who has worked hard all his life, but with head held high, firm gaze. I took the gifts, put them in the car, and left. Michael's house was in a nice suburb. 3 bedrooms. Timbers. Garage for 2 cars. I had given the down payment for that house, missing about $20,000. The rest they had financed, but the property was in my name. An important detail Michael seemed to have forgotten. I arrived around 7 in the evening. There were already other cars in front. I recognized Vanessa's mom's car, an old silver sedan. Her in-laws had been invited. I rang the doorbell. Lucy came to open all happy, in her little red dress with a white bow. "Grandpa!" She jumped into my arms. I hugged that little body that smelled of baby soap and strawberry shampoo. My heart squeezed. Charlie appeared right behind, in shorts and a Yankees t-shirt. "Grandpa, did you bring gifts?" "Yes, my love. But you can only open them after dinner." "Oh, man." He pouted, but accepted. I entered the house. The living room was decorated. Christmas tree in the corner, full of gold and red ornaments. Lights blinking in the window. Table set with white tablecloth. Red napkins. Floral arrangement in the center. Vanessa was in the kitchen. When she saw me, she gave a half smile. "Hi, Robert. Sit down. We are about to serve." I greeted Monica and Peter. Good, simple people. They hugged me, treated me with affection. Michael was on the terrace looking at his cell phone. He looked up when I entered. He gave a nod. He didn't even come to hug me. He didn't even greet me properly. I felt the heavy atmosphere immediately, but I breathed deep. It was Christmas Eve, family party. Everything was going to be fine. Dinner was served at 8 at night. Turkey, stuffing, apple salad, mashed potatoes. Everything was nice, well made. Vanessa had made an effort, but the table was silent. Only the kids chatted. They told things about school, about their friends. We adults ate slowly, exchanging glances. Monica tried to start a conversation. "And the bakery, Robert? How are the end-of-year sales going?" "Good, thank God. December is always a busy month. Many parties, corporate receptions, graduations." "That's good. You work so hard. You deserve the success." She smiled. Vanessa cut a piece of turkey with force. The knife scraped the plate, making that sharp noise. "Yes, he works so hard he doesn't have time for anything else." I looked at her. "What?" "Nothing, Robert. Just a comment." But the tone was acidic, poisonous. We finished eating. The kids ran to the living room, impatient for the gifts. I helped clear the table. I took the plates to the kitchen. That was when Michael appeared behind me. "Dad, come to the office. I need to speak with you." My stomach turned, but I went. The office was small. Dark wood desk, swivel chair, shelves with files and books. It smelled of paper and printer ink. Vanessa entered behind me. She closed the door. Michael pulled a chair and sat across from the desk. He did not offer me a seat. I remained standing. Clutching my bag against my chest, he opened a drawer. He took out a green folder. He placed it on the desk, open. They were documents. White sheets full of legal text. At the top, in large letters, Commercial Property Transfer Deed. My blood boiled. What is this? It is the transfer of Golden Crust to my name. Everything is ready. Only your signature is missing. He pushed a pen in my direction. I took the papers. I read fast. Total transfer. No clauses. No conditions. I gave up everything. He became the absolute owner. Michael, are you crazy? No, Dad. I am sensible. You have worked enough. It is time to rest. And I am your son. Who else would take over the business? But why like this? Why now on Christmas? Vanessa stepped forward. Because it has to be now, Robert. You are getting old. You are becoming forgetful. You are no longer capable of managing anything. And Michael is your son, your only heir. It makes sense to transfer now, while you are still alive, to see him manage the business. I looked at her. This woman I had welcomed, given a job, treated like my daughter, and I only saw greed. Pure evil. I am not going to sign, I said firmly. Dad, do not be stubborn. It is not stubbornness, Michael. It is common sense. This business is mine. I built it with my own hands. 32 years of work. Do you think I'm going to give it away just like that because you ask me? It is not given away. It is by right. I am your son. And that gives you the right to take what is mine? He stood up, tall, corpulent, looking down at me. Dad, do not make me do this the hard way. What hard way? Guardianship. We start a procedure. We prove that you no longer have all your mental faculties. I become your guardian. Then I transfer everything to my name anyway. There it was, the final threat. You wouldn't do that. Yes, I would. Vanessa crossed her arms. And he will if you keep being selfish. Selfish? She called me selfish. Me, who had given everything to my son, who had sacrificed myself, who had worked until my bones ached, and they were treating me as selfish because I didn't want to give away my life's work on a silver platter. No, I said, my voice trembling with rage. I am not going to sign, and I am not going to let you rob me. Michael's face hardened. Then get out of here. I blinked. What? You heard me. This house is mine. And if you do not want to cooperate, you no longer have a place here. Grab your things and leave. My heart raced. I looked at Vanessa. She had her arms crossed, a little smirk at the corner of her mouth. Michael, are you serious? Very serious. Sign the papers or leave. You choose. I stood paralyzed. I could not believe what I was hearing. This was my son, my only son, the boy I had raised, clothed, fed, sent to school, paid for his education, bought his first car, helped with his wedding, and he was kicking me out on Christmas Eve. No, I said, my voice trembling, I am not going to sign. Michael threw the papers on the desk. Then get the hell out of here. He came toward me. He grabbed me by the arm. He dragged me into the hallway. Vanessa followed us, screaming, Leave, you selfish old man! You only think of yourself. You never thought of your son. I tried to break free, but he was too strong. He pulled me to the front door. The kids appeared in the hallway, scared. Grandpa! Shouted Charlie. Shut up! Yelled Vanessa. Lucy started to cry. Michael opened the door. The cold night wind hit my face. He pushed me outside. I almost fell onto the sidewalk. And do not come back until you have changed your mind, he said before slamming it shut. I stayed there, alone in the middle of the street, with an old suitcase in my hand, and my bag of documents hanging from my shoulder. The Christmas lights flickered in the neighboring houses, the distant sound of laughter and music, and me expelled, humiliated, destroyed. But I did not cry, not at that moment, because deep in my chest, with the pain, something new was being born. Rage, determination, and the absolute certainty that my son was going to bitterly regret what he had just done. Have you ever spent a Christmas Eve alone in a cheap hotel, listening to the sound of fireworks outside, while you feel your heart breaking into pieces? I walked down the street aimlessly for about 20 minutes, the lights of the houses flickering, families gathered, children playing, and me dragging my old suitcase along the sidewalk, feeling the weight of 67 years on my shoulders. I stopped at a corner. I took out my cell phone. I thought about calling Linda, but it was Christmas. She was with her family. I was not going to ruin my sister's night with my problems. I opened the search app. I wrote, "Hotel near me, available now." Several options appeared. I chose the cheapest one, Colonial Motel, $100 a night, 3-star rating. The photos showed a small, simple room, single bed, small bathroom. I ordered an Uber. 10 minutes later, I was at the hotel door. It was a low building, 2 floors, facade painted a faded yellow, a small sign with burnt-out bulbs, a tiny reception, scratched wooden counter. It smelled of humidity and disinfectant. The young man at the reception was about 20 years old, sleepy look, wrinkled t-shirt. It must have seemed strange to him to see an older man alone asking for a room on Christmas Eve. "Good evening, do you need a room?" He looked at me surprised. "Just for you? How many nights?" I breathed deep. "One for now," he typed on his old computer, sound of keys resonating in the silence. "That will be $100 plus tax." "Cash?" "Yes." I took the bills out of my wallet, hands trembling. He gave me the key. "Number 27, second floor." I went up. Each step weighed a ton. Narrow hallway, walls with peeling paint, a fluorescent lamp flickering. I opened the room door. It was exactly like in the photos. Small. Single bed with a faded floral quilt. Nightstand with old lamp. Tiny bathroom. Window with thin curtain facing the street. I closed the door. Locked it. I leaned against it. And I collapsed. I cried like I hadn't cried in years. Sobs coming from deep within the soul. Hot tears rolling down my face, washing away my cologne. I sat on the edge of the bed, that hard, strange bed, which was not mine, in a room that smelled of mothballs and loneliness. And I thought, how did I get here? How is it that I, who built a business from nothing, who raised a son alone, who fought all my life, find myself expelled, humiliated, thrown into the street like trash by my own son? I took my cell phone. I saw his photos. Tiny. Michael newborn in the hospital wrapped in blue cloth. First day of school with a backpack bigger than him. High school graduation in gown, wide smile. Wedding next to Vanessa. Both radiant. Where had I gone wrong? I had given him everything. Love, education, opportunities, money. I had sacrificed my life for his dreams, and he had paid me with betrayal. I put away my cell phone. I got up. I went to the bathroom. I washed my face. The cold water burned my skin. I looked in the cracked mirror. A tired old man stared back at me. Red eyes, deep wrinkles, disheveled hair. But in the eyes of that old man, there was something that was not dead. Fighting spirit. I dried my face. I returned to the room. I took my cell phone again. It was 11:30 at night. I breathed deep. I dialed a number. 3 rings, 4. "Hello?" The raspy voice of Mr. Harrison. "Mr. Harrison, it's me, Robert." "Robert, is everything okay? It's Christmas Eve." "I know, sorry for calling at this hour, but it happened. He kicked me out. He made me leave because I didn't want to sign the business transfer papers." Silence on the other end. Then, "Where are you?" "In a hotel, Colonial Motel, alone. Send me the address. I'm coming." "It's not necessary, Mr. Harrison. I don't want to ruin your night." "Robert, send me the address now." I obeyed. 10 minutes later, he was knocking on the door. Mr. Harrison entered the room with a briefcase under his arm. Wrinkled suit, loose tie, disheveled hair, but firm, determined look. "Tell me everything." I told him. Every detail, the dinner, the office, the papers, the threats, the shove, the door closing in my face. He listened, taking notes. When I finished, he closed his notebook. Robert, now we have everything we need. Coercion, attempted misappropriation, eviction of an elderly person. It is a crime. You can pursue him criminally. I don't want to sue my son. My voice was weak. Then what do you want? I breathed deep. I want justice. I want him to learn. I want my house back, my peace, my dignity. Mr. Harrison leaned forward. Then let's do this. Tomorrow morning, the 25th, I contact the judge on duty. Eviction procedure for the house. You are the owner. It is in your name. He lives there as a free occupant. And a free occupant cannot evict the owner? How long will it take? With the gravity of the situation, with a 67-year-old man evicted on Christmas Eve, the judge will order an emergency. We will have a process server there tomorrow, around 2 in the afternoon. My heart raced. Tomorrow? So soon? Tomorrow. Justice can be slow for many things, but violence against seniors is a priority, and what they did falls into that category. He opened his briefcase. He took out other documents. Here is also the notification about the revocation of powers of attorney and a precautionary measure blocking any movement on his part in the company accounts. He won't be able to withdraw a cent without your authorization. I looked at those papers. My salvation, my revenge, my protection. Do everything, Mr. Harrison, everything. He smiled, a tired but firm smile. Everything is going to be fine, Robert. You were smart. You protected yourself in advance. Now we are just executing the plan. He left shortly after midnight. He left me alone in that room. But I no longer felt so lost. I lay in bed. The mattress was hard. The sheets rough. Outside I heard fireworks. Midnight. Christmas. I took my cell phone. I went to the family group chat. There were messages. Merry Christmas to all. May God bless our family. Cousins sending photos of dinners. Hugs, smiles. No message from Michael, but there was one from Vanessa. Merry Christmas. Robert, may the new year bring you wisdom. Wisdom? That snake had the nerve to talk about wisdom. I did not reply. I just turned off my cell phone. I closed my eyes, and for the first time in several hours, I could breathe deep, because I knew one thing they didn't know. Tomorrow, when they thought they had won, when they celebrated their victory, justice was going to knock on their door. Then my son would discover what it means to mess with a man who has spent his whole life fighting, a man who does not give up, a man who even on his knees still knows how to get up. There are things in life you never forget. The first kiss, the birth of a child, the day you get something you dreamed of all your life. For me, December 25th, 2024 entered this list, but not for the reasons you might imagine. I woke up at 6 in the morning. The sun hadn't fully risen yet. The hotel was silent. No one moved in the hallways. The whole city was still sleeping after the Christmas celebration, but I couldn't stay still. I showered, dressed, brushed my teeth, looking at myself in the mirror of that tiny bathroom, and I saw in my eyes a determination I hadn't seen in a long time. 7:30 in the morning. Mr. Harrison called me. Robert, I already obtained the judge's order. Eviction granted in emergency. The process server, Mr. Ruiz, will be at the house at 2 in the afternoon. My heart raced. 2 in the afternoon? Today? Today. The judge considered the gravity of the situation. An elderly person evicted from his own property. On Christmas Eve. He didn't hesitate. And Michael will have to leave? He will have 48 hours to vacate the property, but the notification arrives today. What else? With the eviction will also arrive the notification about the blocking of company accounts and the revocation of powers of attorney. I sat on the edge of the bed, everything at once. It is the domino effect, Robert. When you act at the right moment, with the right evidence, justice acts fast. I hung up. I stayed there sitting, processing the information. In a few hours, everything was going to change. My son was going to discover that he had underestimated his own father. I ate something in a cafe near the hotel. Toast with butter, black coffee. I wasn't hungry, but I needed energy. I walked through the streets aimlessly. The city was empty. Businesses closed, few cars. The day after Christmas is always like that. Everyone resting, digesting Christmas dinner, enjoying family. Everyone except me. 1:30 in the afternoon. My cell phone rang. Mr. Harrison. Robert, Mr. Ruiz is on his way. He arrives at the house in 15 minutes. Do you want to go too? I thought about it. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to see my son's face when he received those papers, but something inside me told me no. No, Mr. Harrison, I don't need to be there. Let justice do its job. Are you sure? I am sure. Call me when it's done. I will. I sat on a park bench, alone watching the trees, the blue sky, the white clouds, and waited. 2:15 in the afternoon. The phone rang again. But it wasn't Mr. Harrison. It was Michael. My hand trembled. I answered, Hello? Dad? What did you do? He was screaming, voice desperate, hysterical. I breathed deep. I protected myself, Michael, that's all. A process server just arrived saying I have to vacate the house, that the house is yours. The house has always been mine. You knew that. But I live here. My children live here. And I was your father, and you kicked me to the street yesterday. Silence on the other end, only as heavy breathing. Then Vanessa's voice in the background. Call the lawyer. Call now. And Michael again. Dad, you can't do this. It's Christmas. There are children. You shouldn't have done what you did yesterday either, but you did. Dad, please. Michael, you have 48 hours to vacate the property. Read the notification. Everything is explained there. Dad, wait. Don't hang up. But I hung up. My hands were trembling. My heart beat irregularly, but I did not regret it. 2 minutes later, another call. Vanessa. I answered. Robert, you are crazy. You can't do this to us. Yes, I can, and I just did. There are children here. Are you going to kick your grandkids onto the street? You kicked their grandfather yesterday. Why couldn't I? She was left without an answer. Then, we will go to court. We are going to annul this. Try it. But you won't succeed, because the house is mine. It always has been. And you live there by my grace, a grace that ended when you took me out. You miserable old man. We should have committed you when we had the chance. And she hung up. I put away my cell phone. I stared at the horizon. 3 in the afternoon. Mr. Harrison called. Robert, everything is done. Mr. Ruiz delivered the 3 notifications. Eviction, blocking of company accounts, revocation of powers of attorney. The young man went white when he read. The lady became hysterical. They said they would consult a lawyer. Let them do it. Yes, but it won't do them any good. The documentation is impeccable. You are the legitimate owner. They have no right to the property or the business. And how long before they must leave? 48 hours, until the 27th. If they don't leave voluntarily, we will request an eviction order with police force. We hung up. I sat there processing everything. I had done it. I had really fought back. I had defended what was mine. I had recovered what was mine. But do you know what I felt at that moment? It was not joy. It was not satisfaction. It was emptiness. Because although my son had betrayed me, although he had hurt me, he was still my son. And a father does not celebrate when he has to fight against his own blood. I returned to the hotel. I spent the rest of the day lying in bed looking at the ceiling. The phone rang several times. Michael, Vanessa, even Linda, who somehow had found out. I didn't answer anyone. I just wanted silence. At night, I ordered food by app. A simple burger. I ate without appetite, just not to get sick. And I thought, what now? I had recovered my house, protected my business, taught my son a lesson, but what would come next? Would he learn? Or would he hate me forever? And the grandkids? How would my relationship be with them? These questions didn't let me sleep. But one thing I knew for sure. I wasn't going to back down. Because if 67 years of life taught me anything, it is that you cannot let others trample on you, even when those others are your own family. Early in the morning of the 26th, the phone rang. Unknown number. I answered with caution. Hello? Robert, it's Natalie. We met at a supplier fair last year, remember? Natalie, a woman of about 40, competent, serious. She worked at an events company. Yes, I remember. Hi, Natalie. Is everything okay? Yes. Look, I heard you had some problems in your business. Well, I am looking to change fields. I wanted to know if maybe you need someone to help manage Golden Crust. I stayed silent thinking. A manager, just what I needed. Natalie, it is possible. Can we talk about this in more detail? Sure, whenever you like. We scheduled a coffee appointment that same afternoon, and that was how, amidst the chaos, I started to rebuild. Because life does not wait for us to recover completely, to move forward. Life goes on, and we continue with it or we get left behind. And I had no intention of getting left behind. That afternoon, I met with Natalie at a cafe downtown. She arrived punctual, dressed professionally but not exaggerated. White shirt, black pants, briefcase in hand. We sat down. We ordered coffee. Robert, I will be direct. I knew what happened with your daughter-in-law. Vanessa spoke bad about you with several suppliers, saying you were losing your mind. But I know you. I know how you work. You are an honest man, hard-working, and if you are looking for administrative help, I would like to be considered. Her frankness surprised me. Why do you want to leave your current job? Because I have been in events for 5 years, and it no longer fulfills me. I want something more stable, something where I can really build, and Golden Crust has a good reputation. We chatted for an hour. Her experience, her ideas, her vision. I liked her. She was practical, honest, direct. Natalie, I'm going to be sincere with you. My business is going through a complicated moment. Family problems that affected operations. I need someone trustworthy, someone loyal. I understand, Robert, and I can be. Give me the chance to prove it to you. I gave her the chance. She would start on January 2nd. Salary of $4,000 a month, plus benefits. She accepted without hesitation. I left that cafe feeling a little better, a little more complete, because amidst the betrayal, amidst the pain, there were still good people, honest people, people I could trust. The 27th of December, last day of the eviction deadline. My cell phone rang early in the morning. It was Michael. I answered. Dad? His voice sounded different, softer, broken. Tell me. We already packed. We are leaving today. We rented a small apartment in a cheaper area. We didn't have enough savings for something better. Silence. The kids miss you. Lucy cries. She asks why Grandpa is angry. My heart squeezed, but I remained firm. Michael, this didn't have to happen. You could have chosen differently. You could have respected me. I know, Dad. I know now. And Vanessa? What does she say? She is furious. She says you ruined everything, that I never should have asked you for anything, that we should have done the guardianship without telling you. So she still doesn't understand. She doesn't, Dad, but I think I do. Is that so? What do you understand? He breathed deep. That I was wrong, that I let myself be manipulated, that I lost sight of what really mattered, and that I treated the man who gave me everything as if he were my enemy. Tears burned my eyes, but I held them back. Michael, I built that business for you, for us, so you would have a future. But I wanted to do it on my terms, when it was the right time, not because they forced me. I understand now, Dad, truly. Truly? Or just because you lost? Long silence. Maybe a little of both. But the pain I feel is real. The regret is real. I didn't know what to say. Dad, is there any way to fix this? I don't know, Michael. I don't know. Can I at least bring you the kids? So they say goodbye. So they know you're not angry with them. My heart broke. Yes, bring them. 2 hours later, they were at the door of my house. The house that was now only mine again. I opened the door. Charlie and Lucy ran towards me. They hugged my legs. Grandpa, are you not angry anymore? Asked Lucy with her teary little eyes. I crouched down. I hugged them both. I was never angry with you, my loves. Never. Then why do we have to go? Asked Charlie. Because sometimes adults make mistakes, and there are consequences. But that doesn't mean Grandpa doesn't love you. I hugged them tight. They smelled of baby shampoo and innocence, of everything that was pure in this complicated world. Michael was standing in the entrance. He didn't enter. He just watched from afar. When the kids left, he approached. Dad, truly, I'm sorry. I looked him in the eyes. I saw regret, but I also saw fear. Fear of losing the money, or fear of having lost me. I wasn't sure yet. Michael, words are easy. Actions are what count. I know, and I'm going to prove it to you. I don't know how yet, but I will. He left. He got into his old car, where Vanessa was waiting for him with a sour face. I watched them drive away, and I stayed there standing in the entrance of my house. My house. The one I had bought with my sweat. The one that was now mine again. I entered, closed the door. The house was empty, silent, but it was mine. And for the first time in days, I felt something resembling peace. Leave a comment below telling me where you are watching from. And if you have ever had to deal with family betrayal, don't forget to like the video if you think what I did was justified. Because sometimes defending yours means confronting those you love, and it hurts, but it is necessary. The following days were strange. The house felt too big, too silent. Every corner reminded me of something. The living room where Michael played as a child. The kitchen where I prepared breakfast before taking him to the flea market. The room that had been his for so many years. But I also felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Freedom. I didn't have to walk on eggshells. I didn't have to worry about what they were plotting behind my back. I didn't have to listen to insinuations about my mental health or my capacity. It was my space, my peace. On January 2nd, Natalie started working at Golden Crust. She arrived early, 7 in the morning. I was already there, as always, preparing the oven, checking the inventory, attending the first customers of the day. Good morning, Robert. I turned around. There she was, dressed professionally, dress pants, white blouse, hair tied back, briefcase in hand, and a genuine smile. Good morning, Natalie. Welcome to Golden Crust. I showed her everything. The office, the inventory system, accounts receivable and payable, contracts with suppliers, everything. She took notes. She asked intelligent questions, noted everything on a tablet. Robert, I see you have several suppliers who haven't delivered on time in the last months. Can I contact them to verify what happened? Yes, but do it carefully. Some were contacted before by my daughter-in-law, saying things that weren't true. She nodded. I understand. I will be clear with them. I will tell them there is new management and that we want to resume commercial relations on good terms. And she did. In a week, Natalie had contacted all the problematic suppliers. She explained the situation without going into personal details. She just said there had been a misunderstanding, that Robert was perfectly fine, and that Golden Crust remained a solid and reliable business. The suppliers responded well. Valley Mills resumed punctual deliveries. Royal Stationery re-established the contract. Even St. Michael's College called, asking if we could still provide for their summer festival. Of course, said. We will be delighted. Sales started to improve. Customers who had left returned. The bakery was recovering its rhythm, and I, little by little, recovered my confidence. One afternoon, about 2 weeks after the eviction, I was closing the bakery when my cell phone rang. It was a number I didn't know. I answered. Hello? Robert? A voice of an older woman. It's Monica, Vanessa's mom. My stomach tied in a knot. Monica, how are you? Good, thank you. Look, Robert, I am calling you because I need to talk to you. Could we see each other? Have a coffee? I hesitated. What would she want? Did she come to complain to me to defend her daughter? Okay, where? Wherever you like. I will accommodate. We agreed to meet the next day at a cafe near my house. I arrived punctual. She was already there, sitting at a table in the back, with a steaming cup of coffee in front of her. She dressed simply, long skirt, floral blouse, knitted sweater. She looked tired. I sat in front of her. Monica, Robert, thank you for coming. We ordered coffee. There was an awkward silence. Then she spoke. Robert, I come to apologize. I blinked. Apologize? Yes, for my daughter. For what she did to you. For what they said. She lowered her gaze. I raised Vanessa the best I could. My husband and I didn't have much, but we gave her values. We taught her to work, to be honest. But at some point we lost her. Her voice broke. She always wanted more. She always wanted to be someone she wasn't. She was ashamed of us, of our humble little house, of our work. And when she met Michael, when she saw that you had money, that you had a business, I saw that shine in her eyes, and it scared me. She wiped a tear with a napkin. I warned her. I told her, daughter, money is not everything. Robert is a good man. Respect him. But she didn't listen to me. And now look, living in a small apartment, Michael working as a delivery driver because no one else wants to hire him. The kid's sad. I didn't know that, I said quietly. Yes, Michael got a job at a courier company. He earns a misery. Vanessa is looking for work, but no one hires her. And the kids ask for you every day. My heart squeezed. Robert, I don't come to ask you to forgive them. I don't come to ask you to give them the business. I just come to tell you that I'm sorry, that as a mother I failed, and that if I could change what happened, I would. I looked her in the eyes. I saw sincerity. I saw pain. I saw genuine regret. Monica, you are not to blame. Everyone makes their decisions. Vanessa's an adult. Michael's an adult. They chose. I know, but it still hurts. I nodded. Yes, it hurts a lot. We finished our coffee in silence. When she left, I stayed there sitting thinking. Michael was working as a delivery driver. The kids were sad. And I had my business, my house, my dignity. Had I won, or had we all lost? That night. I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned in bed thinking about my grandkids, about Charlie and Lucy, about their faces when they hugged me that day, about their voices asking why they had to leave. They were not to blame. They were innocent. The next morning, I called Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison, I need to establish an educational trust. For whom? For my grandkids, Charlie and Lucy. I want to make sure they have enough for their education. No, university, whatever they need. But neither Michael nor Vanessa can touch that money. Just for the kids? Excellent idea, Robert. How much do you want to put in? $100,000 to start. I will prepare it. A week later it was signed, an untouchable educational trust. For my grandkids, for their future, because they didn't deserve to pay for their parents' mistakes. Weeks passed. January turned into February. The bakery was doing well. Natalie proved to be an excellent administrator. Honest, hard-working, loyal. One afternoon I was reviewing the books when she entered the office. Robert, there is someone outside who wants to see you. Who? Michael. My heart stopped. What does he want? I don't know. He just asked if he could speak with you. He says it is important. I breathed deep. Tell him to come in. Michael entered. He looked different. Thinner. Simple clothes, jeans and t-shirt. Without the expensive watch he always wore. Without the air of superiority. He looked humble. Hi, Dad. Michael, can we talk? Speak. He sat down. Natalie left and closed the door. Dad, I come to tell you something. Vanessa and I are separating. I didn't expect that. What? Yes, it doesn't work anymore. She keeps blaming me for everything. She says I should have done the guardianship without telling you, that I should have forged your signature, that I am a coward. He lowered his gaze, and I realized she was right, not for the reasons she says, but because I was a coward. Coward for letting myself be manipulated. Coward for betraying you. Coward for not defending my own father. Her voice broke. Dad, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know what I did is unforgivable. I kicked you out of your own house on Christmas Eve. I treated you like trash. I wanted to steal what you built with your sweat. Tears rolled down his face. But I need you to know something. I am sorry. Truly. Not because I lost, not because I am broke, but because I lost something much more valuable. I lost your respect. I lost your trust. And maybe I lost you. I looked at him, my son, my only blood, crying in front of me, and I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Compassion. Michael. Yes, Dad. Do you really feel it? Or are you only here because things went wrong for you? I feel it truly, Dad. I have had a lot of time to think. Working 12 hours a day as a delivery driver, earning minimum wage, watching my children ask for their grandfather, realize what really matters. And what matters? Family, honesty, respect, the things you taught me and that I forgot. Silence. Dad, I don't come to ask for the business. I don't come to ask for money. I just come to ask for a chance to prove to you that I changed. How? Let me work here, at the bottom, baker's helper, whatever. Don't pay me if you don't want to. Just let me be close to you again. Let me learn again, like when I was a child. I remained silent, processing his words. Was it real, or was it another manipulation? Michael, if I give you this chance and you betray me again, it's over. Forever. Do you understand? Yes, Dad, I understand. You will arrive at 4 in the morning. You will help prepare the bread. You will do what Natalie tells you. You will collect a normal salary. Like any employee. No privileges, no exceptions. Whatever you say, Dad. And Vanessa does not step foot in this bakery. Never again. We are already divorcing. She is going back to live with her parents. I nodded. Okay, start on Monday. He got up. He came towards me, and he hugged me for the first time in months. I hugged my son, and I cried. I cried for everything we had lost, for all the pain, for all the betrayal. But I also cried of hope, that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild what had been broken. On Monday, Michael arrived at 4 in the morning, punctual. Natalie was there, supervising. Michael, you will start cleaning the trays. Then you will help with the kneading. Robert will teach you. Yes, ma'am. I saw him work, hands in the dough, sweat on his forehead. No complaints. Like when he was a child and came with me to the flea market. Weeks passed. Michael worked hard. He didn't complain. He didn't ask for anything. He just worked. On weekends, he brought the kids. Charlie and Lucy ran through the bakery. They helped wrap breads. They ate the freshly baked pastries, and I, little by little, felt my family rebuilding. It wasn't like before. It would never be like before. The trust had been broken, and it would take years to rebuild, but at least we were together again. At least we were trying. One afternoon, after closing, Michael approached. Dad, can I tell you something? Sure. Thank you. Why? For giving me another chance, for not giving up on me, for teaching me, even if it's late, what it really means to be a man. I put my hand on his shoulder. Michael, you were always my son, and you always will be. You made mistakes, big mistakes, but we all deserve a second chance. Do you really forgive me, Dad? I thought about it. Forgiveness is not something given from one day to the next. It is something built with actions, with time, with proofs that you really changed. Then I am going to build it. I promise you. And so far, he has kept his promise. Months have passed. Michael is still working at the bakery, learning the business from scratch, earning the trust of the employees. Earning my trust, Vanessa divorced and left. The kids stayed with Michael, and I see them every weekend. Golden Crust continues to prosper. Natalie turned out to be the best decision I made, and I, at my 67 years, learned something important. Sometimes defending yours means losing those you love, but if they really love you, they will find their way back. It is not always about winning or losing. Sometimes it is about standing firm in your principles and waiting for others to decide if they want to rise to the occasion. Michael decided to be, and that is why today I have hope. Will it be easy? It won't be like before again. Never. But it is a start, and sometimes the start is all you need. 6 months have passed since that Christmas Eve. 6 months since my life turned upside down. 6 months since I had to make the hardest decisions of my life. And today, sitting in the office of Golden Crust, watching through the window how Michael teaches Charlie to knead bread, I realize something. I do not regret anything. It was painful. Yes, it was devastating. Of course. Would I do it again? Without hesitation. Because there is something I have learned in these 67 years of life. Something I want to share with all of you watching me. From your homes, from your jobs, from wherever you are, never, never allow anyone to take what you built with your own hands. Not even your family. Especially your family. Because when you allow them to disrespect you, when you allow them to trample on you, you are not only hurting yourself, you are teaching them that it is okay to treat people like that. You are teaching them that manipulation works, that betrayal has a reward, and that is not the lesson any father should give his son. I am going to tell you how everyone is now, because this story does not end with revenge. It ends with lessons. Michael works at Golden Crust from Monday to Friday, from 4 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. He earns about $1,000 a month. It is not much, but it is honest. And he is learning, really learning, not just making bread. He is learning what it means to build something from zero, what it means to get up when it is still dark outside, what it means to serve customers with a smile, even if you are tired, what it means to be humble. On weekends, he has the kids, and he brings them here. Charlie is now 10 years old and wants to be a baker like his grandpa. Lucy is 7 and says when she grows up, she is going to have her own bakery. But for cakes, Grandpa, pink cakes with lots of frosting. I laugh every time she says it. The trust I established for them is growing. By the time Charlie turns 18 and enters college, there will be enough money for his entire degree. The same for Lucy. No matter what happens, no matter the decisions their parents make, they will have their education secured, because no one can take that away from them. Vanessa left. She went back to her parents. According to Monica, she got a job at a department store. She earns little, lives with resentment. She still blames everyone but herself. Some never learn. The divorce was finalized 3 months ago. Michael has full custody of the kids. Vanessa sees them every 15 days, but she doesn't even always go. She always has an excuse. The kids don't even ask for her anymore. It hurts to see it. Because although Vanessa hurt me, she is still their mom. And no child should grow up feeling that their mom doesn't want them. But that's how things are sometimes. Not everything has a happy ending. Natalie is still my right hand. Her salary is now $5,000 a month plus bonuses. She deserves it. She has doubled sales. She has recovered clients. She has established new contracts. Golden Crust had never been so well. The other day she told me, "Robert, we should think about opening a second branch." I laughed. "Natalie, I am 67 years old. I don't know if I have energy for a second branch." That is why I'm here. And Michael, together we can do it. Maybe she is right. Maybe it is time to grow again, to dream again, because that is the beautiful thing about life, that it is never too late to start over. Linda, my sister, comes to visit me every Sunday. We cook together, chat, laugh. She tells me, "Robert, I am proud of you. What you did was difficult, but it was right." I don't know if it was right, Linda. I only know it was necessary. It is the same, brother. Sometimes the right thing and the necessary thing are the same thing. Maybe she is right. I have been thinking a lot about my wife, Mary, about what she would think of all this, about whether she would be proud or disappointed. I think she would be proud, because she was a strong woman, a woman who let no one push her around, and she taught me that. She taught me to fight. I wish she were here to see how things turned out, to meet her grandkids, to see that her sacrifice was worth it. Because Golden Crust exists, thanks to her too, to the nights she held me when I cried from exhaustion, to the words of encouragement when I wanted to give up, to her faith that I could make it. All that I am, all that I built, has her imprint. And now that imprint is on Michael, and it will be on Charlie and Lucy. That is the true legacy. Not the money, not the business, but the values, the strength, the ability to get up after falling. A few weeks ago, Michael and I were closing the bakery, alone. The employees had already left. We were cleaning the counter when he said to me, "Dad, can I ask you a question?" "Sure." "How did you know? How did you know Vanessa and I were going to betray you? How did you know you had to protect yourself?" I stopped. I thought about my answer. I didn't know for sure, but I had suspicions. I saw the signs, the calls to suppliers, the documents you rummaged through, the way Vanessa looked at me, as if I were an obstacle, not a person. And you decided to act. I decided to protect myself. Which is different? I didn't act to attack you. I acted to defend myself. What is the difference? The difference is the intention. I didn't want to hurt you. I wanted to protect what was mine, what I had built, my dignity, my peace. He nodded, processing my words. "Dad, if you could turn back time, would you do it differently?" I thought about it. No, because if I hadn't acted, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. Now you would be celebrating your victory with Vanessa, and I would be in some nursing home, stripped of everything, without dignity, without anything. And that would have been my fault? Yes, it would have been your fault, and mine for not defending myself. He stayed quiet for a moment. "Dad, I will never be able to repay you for what I did. I will never be able to erase that Christmas Eve. But I promise you something." "What?" "That I am going to teach Charlie and Lucy what you're teaching me now. Respect, honesty, hard work, and that you never, never take advantage of the people who love you, even if you can, especially if you can." My eyes filled with tears. That is the best promise you can make me. And at that moment, I knew that everything, all the pain, all the struggle, all the devastation had been worth it. Because my son had learned. And he would pass that lesson to his children, and they to theirs. That is the true legacy. Now I want to speak to you, to those watching this, to those who maybe are going through something similar. Maybe you have a child who disrespects you, a daughter-in-law or son-in-law who manipulates you, a relative who wants to keep what is yours, a partner who abuses your trust. And maybe you are thinking, what do I do? It is my family. I cannot confront them. Yes, you can. Not only can you, you must. Because defending yourself is not selfishness. It is self-respect. It is self-love. It is dignity. And no one has the right to take that from you. Will it be easy? No. Will it hurt? Like you have no idea. Will you lose people along the way? Probably. But do you know what will also happen? You will recover your peace. You will recover your dignity. And the people who really love you, those who are really worth it, will find their way back, like Michael did. And those who do not return, those who do not apologize, those who keep blaming you, those never deserve to be in your life in the first place. Letting them go is liberation, not loss. Another thing I want to tell you to the younger ones watching us, to the children and grandchildren, respect your parents. Not because they have money, not because they can give you an inheritance, but because they deserve it as human beings. Your parents sacrificed for you. They stayed up when you were sick. They worked until exhaustion so you had what was necessary. They gave you opportunities they never had. That is not paid with money. It is paid with respect, with gratitude, with love. And if one day you inherit something, let it be because you earned it, not because you stole it. Let it be because you proved you can take care of it, not because you demanded it. Because an inheritance badly lived always ends badly. I have seen cases, children who stripped their parents, who committed them to nursing homes to keep their properties, Who forged signatures? Who manipulated? And you know what happened to them? Nothing good. The money left them. Businesses went bankrupt. Families disintegrated. And they were left with nothing but remorse. Because what is built on betrayal cannot stand. Eventually it collapses. That is a universal law. I also want to speak to people my age. Those who are 60, 70, 80 years old. Those who maybe think it is already too late to defend themselves. That they no longer have the energy to fight. Yes, you do. Age does not take away your dignity. It does not take away the right to be respected. It does not make you less valuable. And if someone, even your own family, is treating you badly, you have every right to defend yourself. It doesn't matter if you are 70. It doesn't matter if you are tired. It doesn't matter if they tell you you are being dramatic or exaggerated. Your mental peace is worth more than anything. Your dignity is worth more than maintaining a false family harmony. Because there is no real harmony where there is lack of respect. Seek legal help. Protect your assets. Document everything. Do not be afraid to act, like I did. And if someone tells you that you are selfish for not giving away your patrimony, for not letting yourself be trampled, let them go to hell. Sorry for the expression, but it is the truth. Selfish is the one who wants to take what is yours, not the one who defends it. Today, 6 months after that Christmas Eve, I wake up every day with peace, with purpose, with hope. Golden Crust is still mine. My house is still mine. My dignity remains intact. And my relationship with Michael, although not perfect, is healing. Slowly, painfully, but healing. Because he decided to change. He decided to be better. He decided to earn my forgiveness instead of demanding it. And that makes all the difference. I don't know what the future holds for us. Maybe someday Michael will be my partner. Maybe someday I will inherit the business to him. Maybe not. But if it happens, it will be because he earned it. Because he proved he can be trustworthy. Because he proved he respects what I built. Not because he forced me. Not because he manipulated me. But because he deserved it. And that is the only right way to pass a legacy. To all who have accompanied us in this story until the end, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for not judging. If this story served you, if it taught you something, if it gave you courage to defend yours, then it was all worth it. Subscribe to the channel, William's Revenge Stories. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. With that father who is being manipulated. With that grandfather who is being stripped. With that mother who is being disrespected. Because we all deserve to live with dignity. We all deserve to be respected. And we all have the right and the duty to defend ourselves. It doesn't matter who is on the other side. It doesn't matter if it is family. It doesn't matter if it hurts. What is right is right. And what is wrong is wrong. And defending yours is never, ever wrong. Leave a comment telling me what you learned from this story. Tell me if you ever had to make a similar decision. Tell me where you are watching from. Because you are not alone in this. There are thousands, millions of people going through the same thing. And together we are stronger. Like this video, if you think what I did was justified, if you believe parents deserve respect, if you believe it is never too late to defend yourself. And remember, family is important. But respect is fundamental. And where there is no respect, there cannot be true family. Just an illusion. Just a lie. Just a chain that binds us to suffering. And you do not deserve to suffer. You deserve peace. You deserve dignity. You deserve real love. Not conditioned love, not manipulative love, but real love. And if you have to fight to get it, fight because you are worth it. Because your peace is worth it. Because your life is worth it. I did it. At 67 years old. With everything against me. With my own son against me. And I survived. More than survived, I triumphed. And you can too. Never forget, as long as you have life, you have opportunity. As long as you have dignity, you have value. And as long as you have the truth on your side, you have power. Use it, not for revenge, but for justice, for protection, for peace. That is my story. That is my message. That is my lesson. And I hope with all my heart that it serves you. Because if an old man of 67 could do it, you can too. Stay firm, stay strong, and never, never allow anyone to take what is yours, because you built it, and you have the right to protect it. Until the next story, and may God bless you, Robert.